What's up, y'all? Today we are talking about stabilization in the new Sony A7S III, specifically comparing the active stabilization in the camera and post-stabilization using Catalyst Browse. And oh my gosh, if you have not seen this is gonna be a good one. Also, I'm not gonna include standard in-body stabilization on this because in my opinion, active is always better than standard IBIS. For me personally, I don't think there's ever gonna be a time where I choose standard IBIS over the extra active stabilization that I can get while shooting handheld. So yeah, the sequence I shot at the beginning was shot completely handheld on the A7S III, and for every shot I did 2 takes. One take with active stabilization on, and then another take with no in-body stabilization on, so that I could stabilize it in post with Catalyst Browse. So for the main part of this video, I'm just gonna throw up some side-by-side comparisons, let you watch the shot with active stabilization and the shot with Catalyst stabilization and see which one you like. I know which one I liked better, but that's not really what's important, right? All right. Y'all, it's so good sometimes. Just like every other software stabilization sometimes. Okay, after watching those, let me know down below which one you liked better for which shot, or which one you just like better more consistently. Look how ridiculous, like this 24 frames per second walking shot. If I fed that to Warp Stabilizer, it would throw up some jellyfish, jello looking trash. Catalyst Browse, dude, it's legit. But let's talk about a few of its flaws, a few of its downsides, and just some key points about it. Number one, you cannot use Catalyst Browse on footage that was shot in 120 frames per second. But also you can't use active stabilization when you're shooting 120 FPS. But I mean, it's 120 FPS, so how much stabilization do we really need? All of it. We need all the stabilization. Okay, 2 really important things to know if you're gonna use Catalyst Browse. Number 1, you need to crank your shutter speed. If you don't, you're gonna get really weird looking motion blur artifacts. And the way I think this works, check this out. If you move the camera this way, your motion blur is gonna go that way. But if that motion gets stabilized and your motion blur is still going that way, then you have motion blur and no motion. And it looks really weird. So no matter what frame rate you're shooting, you need to crank your shutter speed up so you're not getting as much motion blur. Number 2, you gotta turn any IBIS off if you're gonna use Catalyst Browse. This one, I don't have a theory. Okay, I could probably come up with a theory on why this is. Hear me out. So IBIS, right? Here's this clip stabilized with Catalyst Browse, and here is a really similar clip where I had IBIS on and then tried to use Catalyst Browse on it. One, it doesn't stabilize it as much, but it also starts to bring in these weird artifacts again. And nobody likes weird artifacts in their footage. But hey, that's all I have for y'all today. Again, if you enjoyed this video, if you learned something, please hit like down below. If you want to see more videos like this, specifically talking about the A7S III, because that's all I want to talk about right now, hit subscribe down below. Next week, I'm doing a little comparison between the R5 and the A7S III, and we got to do some low light stuff with this thing. But all right, I'm done. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you next week.